The latest Pompey news, updates every day from the Pompey Sound news desk.
Yeah, it's a really difficult one to sum up. There's obviously the two halves, 40 minutes. We're absolutely fine in the game. Sheffield United not causing us any problems. And then the red card obviously changes the game from that point, and we don't defend that set play well enough. But I thought the story of the game up until that point was there was nothing in it. A very tight game. We let ourselves down in terms of us having any quality in the final third. We just didn't have enough. Crosses kept going behind the goal into the goalkeeper's hands. The build up to the corner that ends up in the red card. We sling the ball in the box without any purpose, where we should be switching it from the right to the left hand side, and that was the disappointment. Look, the second half, I think we can be a lot better, regardless of the fact that we were down to 10 men. But really, the story of the game is, we've got to ask ourselves a question: are Sheffield United miles better than us? And I just didn't think they were. Obviously, just it was sort of the double blow of the red card plus the fact that they scored the penalty at that point. So it was 1-0 down away from home, down to 10 men. We had to try and change things. So the whole dynamic of the game completely shifted. We obviously have spoken about the importance of defending set pieces. We can change setup, you can change personnel, we can change everything we want to change about set pieces. If we haven't got the desire to go and win a header, and if we haven't got the aggression to go and win a header, it doesn't matter. We could have 50 people on the pitch. And if we decide that we're not going to defend properly in those moments, it doesn't matter whether you've got 10 men, 11 men. It's really poor from our perspective. The second half's the second half with 10 men against the side who've got the tails up, and they're going to attack, particularly as we were trying to keep it tight and until the sort of 65th minute if we could, and then make the changes off the back of that. But we let ourselves down by conceding really early in the second half. My honest assessment is I was pleased with what I saw, because we were very solid. They couldn't play through the press, they were going longer, they weren't picking up too many seconds. We needed to be a lot better when we actually got the ball in the final third. So like I said, I thought we got the ball into some good areas, and we crossed it to no one, or we crossed it into the goalkeeper's hands, or we crossed it behind the goal. And I thought that was just the symptomatic of us lacking a bit of belief in the fact we could come away from home to a place like Bramall Lane and get anything from the game. And I thought we'll feel our way into the game. We did it really well, and then we had an opportunity to go and punish, and we just didn't take it. So I'll judge the performance on that first 40 minutes, which was the detail is wrong. We get the detail wrong for the red card, and we're just not clinical, ruthless, and we just don't have quite enough belief in the final third at points. And it's a really disappointing one for me, because we had it on Saturday. We saw it in abundance on Saturday, and we can't be a side that decides we're going to be really good at home, but just come off it away from home.
The football news agency, the 72, are running this piece of information. Call it news. It's clickbait, really, but on the end of a week like this, I mean in the wake of Sheffield, anything to brighten our day, this is what they're saying: we might be buying a £15 million rated Brazilian.
The January transfer window will be firmly in the minds of Norwich City, Stoke City and Portsmouth by now. We're approaching December, and to get business done early, Championship sides will have targets already shortlisted. The aforementioned trio need additions for varying reasons. While the Potters are pushing for promotion, Norwich and Pompey need signings that can inspire a push for survival. Now, according to a report from Portuguese outlet A Bola, all of Norwich City, Stoke City have eyes on Rio Avenue winger André Luiz. The 23-year-old Brazilian has been a big hit in Portugal's top flight, and it is prompting interest from the second-tier trio and Premier League sides Sunderland and Brentford. All 5 English clubs are said to have scouted the in-form star, with European clubs also on the agenda. However, it is said that Rio Avenue are prepared to demand as much as Euro 15M, £13.1 million for Luiz. André Luiz's asking price will prove too hefty for Norwich City, Stoke City and Portsmouth. We've seen both Norwich City and Stoke City spend big in the Championship before. For the former, their heavy expenditure of recent years has yielded no big results, and the latter have found far more success with shrewd business. As such, it would be a real surprise if either were to conjure up the £13 million required to get Rio Avenue to the table. As for Portsmouth, their budget is one of the division's smaller ones, so such a move is out of the question. The trio likely seek a star player in a middling side, in a league renowned for affordable recruitment options, and thought a shrewd deal could be struck. However, it seems Rio Avenue have no plans to let Andre Luiz go on the cheap, and justifiably so. Not only does the 23-year-old now have Premier League interest, but he only joined them in January too. Luiz is under contract until 2029, so the Liga Portugal side are in a fine negotiating position with their star man on 8 goal contributions in 11 league games. The January transfer window is a crucial time. The recruitment opportunities give teams chances to either consolidate and strengthen their position, or make signings to turn their campaigns around. Stoke City will be wary of resting on their laurels after a fine season to date. Mark Robins likely won't want to do too much to avoid disrupting a very cohesive group, but a couple more finishing touches could strengthen a potential top 6 tilt. Norwich City and Portsmouth are at the other end of things. Norwich are underperforming massively, and with Philippe Clement now at the helm, he will be hoping to sign some new players to fit his high tempo and intensity. As for Pompey, further injury issues and a disjointed attack mean some proven championship players wouldn't go amiss. They will hope that can help them get the edge on fellow struggles, such as the aforementioned Norwich.
Pure clickbait, really, but it brightens a dull winter's day. A dull winter's day coming hard on the heels of a very demoralising performance and defeat against Sheffield United. So you can just daydream for a moment and imagine a £15 million rated Brazilian walking into Fratton Park and putting on the blue shirt. But then poof, the dream disappears because you know it ain't going to happen. The most interesting and valuable thing to come out of that piece, of course, is reminding us that Norwich City are one of the 2 or 3, possibly 4 teams that we simply have to get above in order to avoid the disaster of being relegated. We have a chairman, an owner, who has categorically stated that that will not happen, which is good to hear, because he generally gets things right and has done down the decades. So why should he get this one wrong? It means that there could be some interesting activity in January. It also means that we have to stay focused. We've got to get the better of Sheffield Wednesday. That's not too difficult. So it only takes 2 more teams to be below us on the last day of the season, the last whistle of the last day of the season. And, well, we've escaped. It would be so much better if we could better last season's finish. And that, of course, is still not out of the question by any means. The side need to play, as we did, obviously. This is stating the obvious, but I'll say it anyway. We need to play like we did against Millwall and not as we did against Sheffield United. There it is. Simple as that. Easy to say. They've got to go out and do it. John Messino spoke to other reporters about the need to get set pieces right.
We need to defend the set piece and get the detail right. It's clearly an issue. You can change the system and personnel, but if you don't win the first contact against their main threat and get bullied, you're in a real spot of bother. That was the same for the second goal, so we didn't learn from the first goal. My question to them was, tell me how it felt in the game. If I've got it completely wrong, that is, we were really struggling and under the pump, tell me. If we're really struggling to deal with Sheffield United and I've got that completely wrong, then tell me and I'll accept it. To a man, the players told me they were comfortable in the game, they were absolutely fine and didn't think they were causing us any problems. That was my reading of game 2, so my next point too was, great, fine, but you're absolutely killing yourself if you are in that situation and then don't defend properly from a corner. That's ultimately what happened. Mousinho felt there was a blocks from the home side in the build-up to their penalty award in the 39th minute, as Terry Devlin handled Japhet Tanganga's header on the line. We need to defend our set piece better. We lose the first contact. It was a well-worked set piece. I think our middle zone gets blocked, but coming in after losing 3-0 and talking about that sounds like I'm really crying. That does get given against us plenty of times though. We were denied a goal against Norwich like that last season, and we had opportunities against Hull, but small blocks get given against Portsmouth. That was the point I was making to the 4th official and referee, but ultimately we have to get that first contact. There was nothing in the game up to that point. It was a really solid away performance up to that point, and there was nothing in the game to the point that happens.
Yeah, and that's fair. And I think everybody who watched the game, including the players out there on the pitch, would agree that that was pretty much the case. For the first 10 minutes, we were the better side. For the first 40 minutes, we certainly held them. They didn't appear to be posing any great threat. They weren't making any breakthroughs. We actually were more dangerous getting down those flanks. I think John Messino might not play Josh on the right and Flo on the left again. Certainly not on Saturday. It didn't work. He's much more lethal with his wrong foot crossing the ball, is Murphy, than with his good foot. Apparently his best foot is his right foot. But by God, he gives that ball such a whack, it goes flying into row Z behind the goal. Or it goes past the goal at such a height that there's no way that Colby Bishop is going to get there, especially with a 6'4" goalkeeper vying with him for possession. So that one didn't work. He was talking about the poor quality of the crosses. He's the guy who stuck a right winger on the left wing and a left winger on the right wing. Actually, that's not fair. I think possibly Bianchini does see himself as a left-sided forward. But so does Josh Murphy. And Josh Murphy is undisputedly Pompey's number one player, never mind about number one left-sided forward. So that is something which will need to be considered, and we may see redressed when the teams line up, because we may not see it necessarily on the team sheet, but when we see them lining up on Saturday against Bristol at 12:30, remember, then we'll know. Until then, we carry on licking our wounds.